Anarkata, a statement. To what end? The end of the world.
This world we have come to know, the world which was born out of the destruction of Africa and the emergence of the black, born of the ungendering of our bodies and their transformation into property, birth out of the free labor and sweat of our ancestors, as Frantz Fanon put in, this Manichaean world must finally come to an end. It is a world divided into compartments, borders, and partitions, where the ordering principle is captivity and extreme forms of violence. It is a world of cis heterosexual domination, white supremacist patriarchy, and ableist oppression. It is a world of military occupations, multinational corporations, prisons, and modern day plantations. It is a world of universalized white symbolisms, theologies, and philosophies. It is a world that is white, where Western imperialism and colonialism have greatly extended the reach of the West, with catastrophic results for the third world people and for the environment. It is a world where capitalist extraction of resources and the pollution left in its wake threaten to hurl us towards climate disaster. This is the world we have inherited, and the world in which we are fighting to survive. What we are fighting for, and to what end, is not to make this world we inherited better, improve upon its structures, or even to change it in a radical sense. Our end goal is to end it. That is to say, its end is our beginning. This world of modernity, the world that slavery, capitalism, and colonialism built, rests on top of the material earth, but is not of the earth. The world-making processes of capitalism, colonialism, and imperialism have racialized, gendered, objectified, and ravaged the earth, transforming it into the raw materials for capital itself. In turn, capitalism has tried to naturalize its logics, claiming that the violence and aggression at the center of its processes are governed by the same laws as the natural world. The social Darwinist notion that the earth is governed by the survival of the fittest is another piece of capitalist propaganda used to justify colonial exploitation by extending and conflating the ordering principles of the world with that of the environment. But we say the earth and the world are two fundamentally different things that are diametrically opposed. One is exploited and degraded to fuel the continued existence of the other. The earth is a sustainable collection of interconnected ecosystems. The world is an unsustainable mass of structures and institutions driven by consumption and exploitation. The earth is a living, breathing organism, where the world is a social invention, a man-made parasite that feeds upon the earth and produces the human as its only subject at the center of the world. Put differently, the popular sentiment that the world is cruel is not a discourse on the earth, but a reference to the world. The world is that social invention which is constituted by abject cruelty. Where modern environmental movements conflate the earth and the world, we say that the world antagonizes the earth and argue that the only means to stop the process of climate change, which threatens to destroy the earth, is to liquidate the earth and abolish it from our future. In this way, what we mean by the end of the world is not the end of our planet, but the end of that world which threatens to destroy our planet. From the moment our ancestors were stolen and incorporated into the structure of white supremacist capitalism, the seeds were planted for its eventual doom. For if the modern world is a social invention, then it was born through the enslavement of the African and the pillaging of the African continent. African slave labor is the foundation of the modern world, which historically provided the conditions of possibility for Western capitalism, colonialism, imperialism, and humanism. Blackness built the world and continues to sustain it, but cannot be a part of it or have a proper place within it. The displacement of blackness, this exclusion from the world, this otherworldliness, is a key feature that positions Black people as the agents of world destruction. For the end of the human in the world that centers it cannot be brought about by the colonial human itself. There's nothing about the human that can be revolutionary. That work belongs to an entirely different being, one who has been scorned by the human in the world. Blackness is apocalyptic, our very skin a sign of the apocalypse that is coming for Western modernity. Whiteness fears and dreads this apocalypse, perhaps even more than the prospects of an ecological Armageddon, more than the environmental disaster it finds itself still the privileged subject of. For blackness heralds the end of the white as a privileged subject entirely. Blackness is the fertile ground on which the world stands, and when we rise, so too will the world built upon us crumble. Out of the ashes of this apocalypse come countless Afrofutures waiting to be, wondrous, speculative universes where Black people are free and push the boundaries of what is possible. Perhaps there is a future where Black people live on floating cities after the consequences of climate change cause sea levels to rise. Or maybe we will live in an atmospheric city high above the clouds caused by a nuclear winter. In a future where the ozone layer is gone, perhaps we will live in subterranean African villages. Or maybe we are nomadic tree planters, terraforming the earth after its desertification. Imagine a future where there are billions of genders, each with their own temple dedicated to them and their own community of disciples. Imagine stargazing sisterhoods, time-traveling ancestors, and intergalactic maroon communities. Imagine interstellar voyages aboard the Black Star space shuttle, or perhaps a cosmic Harlem Renaissance. Imagine futures where the human has disappeared and has made way for the emergence of a new being. Anarkata asks us to dream of Black possibilities that have not yet been imagined. From the end of the world comes new ways of being, new ways of living, new visions of freedom. But we don't have to use our imaginations to dream up those futures. The evidence of them can be seen in our struggle today, from the growing concern for the most vulnerable in our communities, to the exchange of mutual aid for our survival, to the political education of our people, and the flexible responsiveness of our movements, the formations that emerge in our communities, and the small and large ways we take back autonomy and kinship with the land, water, and soil. These are all precursors to our Afrofuture. Anarkata envisions Afrofutures where all Black people are free to express their bodily autonomy, where Black non-men are honored and at the fore, where disabled Black people are accommodated and validated. We foresee horizontal futures where hierarchy is abolished and collaboration occurs across people, localities, and networks. We foresee the abolition of prisons and the emergence of communal arbitration to settle disputes. We envision autonomous localities that govern themselves through direct democracy, critique, and consensus. We foresee futures where the people have access to their needs and are not subject to bare survivalism, exploitation, or intracommunal violence. We envision communal and liberatory education for our children, and we envision a Black masses who have the political education and leadership capacity to be autonomous. These futures are not utopias where no problems exist, but they are futures in which our adaptability to new problems are heightened by the strength and health of our communities. It is up to us to build these futures and lay the groundwork for them today. It is the Black revolutionary work of today that will nurture the possibilities of an Afrofuture tomorrow. In giving a name to the contours of Anarkata, its tradition, politics, and praxis, we hope to locate aspects of that expansive work that are already being done in the total liberation of our people. This statement hopes to encapsulate the range of ideas and approaches that have animated the Anarkata turn and bring them together into one document. The document is merely an offering in that direction, a starting point, or perhaps a midway point in what might become the corpus of Anarkata thought and politics. This document is also a work in progress. It is living, grows, and is transformed as new insights around its contents and its missteps are made and new approaches unearthed. It is a document that enters into conversation with all those who identify with its contents and is improved upon by doing so. It is intended to be just as flexible and collaborative as the movements we hope to build. We invite the reader to use this document in whatever ways they might find useful to push forward the project of Black liberation in their own communities. Finally, this document is an expression of love, an undying love for our people, love for our comrades, and a love of freedom. It is this love that turns us towards Anarkata.